It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Coachella Valley today on a road show, of course. We are joined by Sabby Jonathan. He is the Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Palm Desert. We're in Palm Desert right now, actually. And I want to speak with you about homelessness. I would mention that you are chair of the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, the Homeless Committee.
Exactly.
And if we look at the Coachella Valley, what do we see in terms of homelessness?
Well, you know, the general perception is that, of course, we have homelessness and that it has become a bigger and bigger issue throughout the Coachella Valley. Recently, we had our point in time count, and it demonstrates that there are perhaps somewhere around 300 homeless individuals in the Coachella Valley.
And is that number up, down? What does that mean in terms of perception and reality?
Yeah, you know, I caution people not to put too much weight on the point in time count because it's very unscientific. It's literally volunteers and staff members going out in the community and trying to observe homeless people.
Did you go?
I was out of town. I really wanted to go because those that go say it's a transformative experience because you're actually interacting and talking with the homeless.
What we do know, though, is aside from the Coachella Valley, if you look at the entire state, California is facing a homeless crisis, especially Los Angeles County. Not far from here, obviously. And what we know is that while California has 12% of the entire U.S. population, we have 21% of the homeless population. So what is, you know, with that background, what are you looking to do here in the Coachella Valley to try to at least play a part in tackling homelessness?
We're changing the paradigm. We're changing the approach to homelessness because, frankly, what has been in place has not been as effective as any of us would like.
Explain.
So, for example, the CVAG, Coachella Valley Association of Governments, the CVAG Homelessness Committee, about 9 years ago, built Roy's Desert Resource Center.
Yes.
And that provided housing, literally just a place to sleep. And it took care and helped 90-some people.
Services?
No. And that's the problem. If we look at that paradigm, what occurred was we were kind of trying to make life a little bit easier for the homeless, and that's a good thing. But it did not put a dent, obviously, in eliminating or reducing significantly homelessness.
And I'd like to ask, you know, back in the olden days, the last decade, oftentimes, if someone wanted to come into a homeless shelter, they had to prove they were sober. Is that what Roy's is requiring? Because we're changing that paradigm. We're looking at a housing first model, which says, we'll get you sober, just get in here.
Exactly. And to answer your question, in Roy's case, no, you didn't have to demonstrate sobriety and other criteria. Place like Coachella Valley Rescue Mission, you do. So it kind of varies, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so, but they're a very different focus. They're an excellent organization, by the way, and very effective in helping people. But the housing first model is not just housing first. It's about getting the homeless people into the system, registering them, triaging them, evaluating what their needs are, and truly trying to match them to resources that might help them not be homeless any longer.
Now, you mentioned Roy's didn't have services when they launched. Are we now looking at bringing services to Roy's or the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission?
Roy's Desert Resource provided overnight accommodations to homeless people who were then literally kicked out of the facility during the day to kind of be on their own and do what they do. And it is, as we know it, shutting down June 30th. Yes. For a number of reasons. The good news is that the county will occupy that building and provide mental health services to the homeless.
Also overnight services?
No.
No.
So CVAG, Homelessness Committee, is now working on replacing Roy's Desert Resource, moving it to another location, reimagining it so that it is more effective than just kind of a place to sleep overnight.
Where is Roy's now?
So it's north of I-10, west of Palm Springs. It's in a very remote location.
Is it in
Thousand Palms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So And when you say that, it's a little bit concerning only because if it's in a remote location, how are folks getting there?
Exactly, and you hit the nail on the head. This is why the Royce program became financially unsustainable. It was spending over $300,000 a year just on transportation because it's not on a bus route. So we had to buy buses, operate buses, maintain buses to bring the homeless from the Royce facility, usually to Palm Springs.
I want to ask about the role of government in the homeless crisis and funding mechanisms. Various cities, various counties have gone to their voters and have said, we need revenue to help the homeless. This is a crisis. It's not just on Skid Row. It's permeating throughout our communities. The city of Los Angeles passed a measure in November. The county's looking at a measure, but it's not just Los Angeles. It's many communities that are looking at revenue measures. Is it time for Palm Desert to look at a revenue measure, or Riverside County?
You know, there's always more demand for every dollar that the government has than dollars that are available.
Of course.
So it's always a competition of where to allocate those or to try and raise additional revenue. That's not going to happen here in the city of Palm Desert. We just passed an increase in the transient occupancy tax, so I don't see going to the voters and saying we need to raise taxes again.
Could some of that money move towards homeless services?
Indirectly. City of Palm Desert is not at all unusual in seeing its public safety costs rise very, very significantly. For the first time ever in the city of Palm Desert, public safety takes over half of our budget.
And I'm glad you brought up public safety, because when you look at how police interact with homeless, we're seeing another sea change.
Exactly.
Because for many years, homeless, they were treated as criminals. And what we know, based upon court decisions and otherwise, even society feels at this stage, being homeless is not criminal. You can be homeless and engage in criminal acts, but just the act of being homeless is not a criminal act. And so how are your police, your law enforcement officials interacting with the homeless today?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brad. I'm glad you brought it up. We're seeing different models of interaction with the homeless. The old model, which is, oh, there's a homeless person, maybe he's doing something illegal, maybe not, but you know, let's take him to jail, okay? You're using 4 hours of deputy time, you're incurring a tremendous cost, and the jail's overcrowded.
And they can't pay their fines.
Well, so guess what? Half an hour later, literally, they're out.
Right.
And they may go back right to where they came from, they may go to another city, but you've not impacted homelessness. And you've made life much more difficult for them to get out of that cycle because of what you just said. Now they've got a court date, which they're likely going to miss. So there's going to be a warrant for their arrest. There are going to be fines. It makes it impossible to get a driver's license. I mean, they're out of the mainstream at that point. So there's a new model that actually Indio's retired chief, Richard Twiss, introduced, and it's very effective. It's called CORE, Community Outreach Resource Program, CORE program, and CVAG, our homelessness committee, is looking now at implementing that model Coachella Valley wide because it is effective.
When we're back, I'd love to continue this conversation because obviously it's an issue that will continue to permeate our region. His name is Sabby Jonathan. He is the Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Palm Desert, where we are today on our road show throughout the Coachella Valley and California. My name is Brad Pomerance on Local Edition.